How you doing, folks? Today I'm going to talk about an experience I had with the Holy Spirit. Today we're celebrating in a church the feast of Pentecost, 50 days after Jesus arose to heaven, went up back to the Father. And so I told you in the last video, until I was 24, I was struggling along to keep my purity. A lot of stuff happened in my life, and I moved out from Brazil to Belfast, Northern Ireland, and I end up living in a life of parties, a lot of alcohol, drinking, sex, and a nonsense life. That's what sin makes to us. That's what the devil likes. We live in a nonsense life, a life that doesn't make any sense because we're destroying our lives, destroying our souls, destroying and getting rid of the dignity that God gives us. Anyway, I was completely blinded by the life I was living because that's what the devil wants us to think. We have experiences with God, we feel His love, we feel His presence, we walk along in the paths of salvation, and if anything happens to our lives, we start to live a different life, and the devil keeps on telling us that this is the actual reality and everything else was an illusion. But it's the opposite, it's the other way around. Sin is an illusion, and I was stuck in this illusion for a lot of reasons. Anyway, I woke up one day, and this was maybe the 14th or the 15th of February, and the Charismatic Renewal, this one I have the shirt here from the Charismatic group I participate for 10 years in Brazil, was celebrating 50 years since its foundation around the world. And I remember I had a lot of friends who would pray for me knowing the circumstances I was living in a sinful life. And I believe because of their prayers and the celebration of the Holy Spirit in the charismatic movement, I woke up this day and I was shocked. There was a lot of darkness around me, there was darkness inside of me, and I was feeling different. I went to the bathroom to brush my teeth, and I was thinking, there's something very wrong. Why am I living this sort of life? I was not made for this. I was not made for sin. I was not made for being away from God. And so I went with this thought downstairs to prepare my breakfast, to put the bread in the toaster, and when I took the two slices out, I heard a voice saying, "My heart within me is overwhelmed. Fever grips my inmost being." And I thought to myself, this is very weird. And I went to prepare my tea, and when the tea was ready, I was going to the table, and I heard the voice again, "My heart within me is overwhelmed. Fever grips my inmost being." And I sat down thinking there's something going on. And for the third time, after eating a slice of the bread, "My heart within me is overwhelmed. Fever grips my inmost being." And I couldn't do anything else, my brothers and sisters. I couldn't resist but to allow the grace of God to take me. And so the presence of the Holy Spirit filled out that kitchen, and the atmosphere was completely different. I felt the grace of God touching me, and I started to pray, to talk to God, talking and telling Him the life I was living, the circumstances, and the Holy Spirit transformed my talk and my conversation into prayer, and I started to cry, and my tears were also a prayer. And so I was moved from the table where I was having my breakfast to the sofa. I sat down. Jesus sat on one side, Our Lady on the other side, and with more intimacy, I started telling Jesus about the life I was living, and a lot of questions, a lot of things. I spoke to Him and Our Lady, and I felt the love of God. And that's what the Holy Spirit does. He is the Paraclete, our advocate, the one who defends us against the devil, the world, and ourselves. And the Holy Spirit gave me the understanding, gave me the light of grace to see where I was going. Anyway, these words was stuck in my head, in my heart, and at the night, in the same day, I opened the Holy Scriptures and I was trying to find where this was written, and I found in the book of Hosea. It says, Hosea chapter 11. When Israel was a child, I loved him, and I called my son out of Egypt. But the more I called, the further they went away from me. They offered sacrifice to Baal and burnt incense to idols. I myself taught Ephraim to walk. I myself took them by the arm. But they did not know that I was the one caring for them, that I was leading them with human ties, with leading strings of love, that with them I was like someone lifting an infant to his cheek, and that I bent down to feed him. He will not have to go back to Egypt. Assyria will be his king instead, since he has refused to come back to me. The sword will rage through his cities, destroying the bars of his gates, devouring them because of their plots. My people are bent on disregarding me. If they are summoned to come up, not one of them makes a move. This is God talking to me and maybe talking to you today as well. Ephraim, how could I part with you? Israel, how could I give you up? How could I make you like Admah or treat you like Zebulun? My heart within me is overwhelmed. Fever grips my inmost being. I will not give rein to my fierce anger. I will not destroy Ephraim again, for I am God, not man, the Holy One on your midst, and I shall not come to you in anger. They will follow Yahweh. He will roar like a lion, and when he roars, his children will come fluttering from the west, fluttering like sparrows from Egypt, like pigeons from Assyria, and I shall settle them in their homes, declares Yahweh. I hope this word touches your heart if you are living a sinful life, to get back to the grace of God through the power of the Holy Spirit in this day in the Catholic Church we are celebrating the feast of Pentecost. God bless you. Talk again.